Hello everybody, Josh Cho here, ready for another Versus video. This time we're taking a look at Legacy. Playing Merfolk today. It's pretty much the same deck that I played at SCG Buffalo that I took first place in. Buddy of mine, Ryan McKinney, he lent me the cards for the deck in Buffalo and was gracious enough to let me borrow it again for the Invitational. I'm pretty set on playing this deck going forward this weekend. So let's take a look at some of the card choices. All right, generally speaking, Merfolk, it's a pretty stock list when you come to it. There's usually about 16 cards that are going to be identical, or more even if you factor in Aether Vial. But for the creature suite, we have our 8 lords here, 3 additional lords with Merfolk Ridgery. Additional creatures being Silvergill Adept, which is probably the most important card in your deck, as well as Curse Catcher. Again, as an early Merfolk to help turn on your Silvergill Adepts, as well as providing additional defense against some of the more unfair combo decks in the format. And closing things out with 2 copies of Coral Helm Commander, which is just another really solid creature. What I like most about Merfolk right now is the combination of Aether Vial and Standstill. Basically speaking, if you can get a turn 1 Aether Vial to go along with a turn 2 Standstill and protect it, and if you have any sort of pressure whatsoever, you're in really, really good shape, particularly with cards like Munivault and getting out early drops, especially because Aether Vial allows you to keep on progressing your board while not cracking the Standstill. So that way you don't let your opponents draw 3 cards, and you really put them under the gun to allow you to refill your hand and go forward from there. Pretty standard counter magic suite here. We have 4 Daze, 4 Force of Will, and 3 Spell Pierce. Again, the way that the format's been looking recently, there's a whole lot of unfair decks out there right now. So I really wanted to make sure that I had enough protection against them. So we have the Dazes, the Force of Wills, the Spell Pierces, and the Curse Catcher to kind of, give us that little bit of added protection. The one-of slot of Vapor Snag here, I've tried Dismember in the past, but I'm going to try Vapor Snag out because, again, generally speaking, you're trying to race opponents. So if they get like a Batterskull token down, that can really swing a race. The 1 damage, it's not inconsequential, but generally speaking, you just want to clear their blocker out of the way if they don't have islands that you can't, just swim right past. And also, the thing with Dismember, it doesn't kill certain cards or certain creatures, and generally speaking, the tempo that you gain from a card like Vapor Snag is going to be a little bit more important. Taking a look at the mana base, very easy, 12 islands, 4 wastelands to get them under pressure early, as well as 4 Mutavaults. In addition to being great with Standstill, they're still they're still boosted up by our Lords of Atlantis. Okay, so here's the main deck. Let's take a look at the sideboard. All right, so we took a look at the main deck. Again, pretty standard when it comes to a Merfolk build outside of the Aether Vial Standstill lock. But let's take a look at some of our sideboard options that we have here. Okay, starting off, we have 3 pieces of Graveyard Hate. We have 2 Tormod's Crypts and 1 Relic of Progenitus. Again, decks like Dredge, if you're underprepared for them, they'll just blow you out. So just having some line of defense against them is pretty good. Cards like Phantasmal Image, it's great against sneak and show decks if you can get an Aether Vial on too, so that way you're not just completely blown out by, say, like an Emrakul or Gristlebrand. It's still pretty rough, but not as bad. You have your Blue Elemental Blasts against sneak and show. You can snipe their sneak attacks, as well against some of the mono red decks that you want some level of protection against. Submerge is particularly good against, say, Bug and Rug, where Tarmogoyf is a big issue. Cards like Dismember, again, just all-around catch-alls for creature matchups. Decks that are particularly heavy on removal, because again, you really want to be protecting your lords, not just for the evasion, with their evasion as well as the power toughness boost. You really want to keep them alive to really progress your game state and end the game as quickly as possible. That's why a card like Kira, Great Glass Spinner, is very good for that. So it makes them have 2 removal spells for every creature they want to kill. And going back to, again, we were talking about some of the unfair decks. Decks like Storm can be an issue. So having something like Mindbreak Trap is a free counter spell that helps again that extra level of protection against some of the more unfair decks. All right, so there's the sideboard. We've seen the main deck. I'm ready for battle. Let's get BBD in here and we'll get started for you guys.